Let's talk about how today's Supreme Court ruling overhauling Trump's Liberation Day tariffs is a huge moment for big tech. For context, Learning Resources, a toy company based in Illinois, and Voss Selections, a New York-based wine importer, represented a larger group of businesses challenging the Trump administration's Liberation Day tariffs. And today, the Supreme Court's 6-3 ruling in the Trump versus Learning Resources case found that the president went beyond his authority in using the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose broad across-the-board tariffs instantly under the premise of a national emergency. Because this ruling invalidates the tariffs that were previously applied to imports, many believe that the up and down volatility that the global tariff wars brought to the supply chain may ease up, making long-term planning for manufacturing and distribution costs now more possible for tech, and in turn potentially slowing down price hikes for consumers. And because a huge portion of the estimated $170 billion in dues collected under these invalidated tariffs were paid by tech hardware giants, legal teams are predicted to sue for refunds on the duties already paid. And recovering these billions would be a massive capital infusion for big tech that could be redirected to R&D and stock buybacks, especially relevant at a time when big tech has been looking to fill their $250 billion funding gap needed for capex outlays in 2026 alone. But it's worth noting that in today's Supreme Court ruling, while using this specific 1977 Act to invoke tariffs was struck down, big tech still faces uncertainty because of the other options Trump has in applying tariffs. Under Section 232 National Security and Section 301 Unfair Trade Practices, tariffs specifically targeting Chinese semiconductors or AI-related components are still in place. But the disclaimer here is to actually use Section 232, the Department of Commerce must first do a very thorough investigation to prove that specific imports actually threaten national security, which gives tech companies months of lead time to adjust their supply chain all before a dollar is ever exchanged. In addition, Section 232 is much narrower in scope in terms of what it actually considers a national security threat, generally reserved for raw material and critical components like steel or chips. President Trump has already signaled that he has a backup plan to reinstate the 2025 Liberation Day tariffs, with an approach that will be more surgical and legally strong. As an example, instead of trying to place immediate tariffs on all 60 minerals, like lithium, cobalt, and rare earths, the White House may propose a negotiation window where big tech can change their suppliers to allies like Australia, Japan, and Saudi Arabia without being subject to tariffs. And because China often lowers mineral prices to cut out domestic competitors, Trump may ask allies to agree to a minimum price for these minerals, creating a kind of synthetic tariff, less visible than the one that they'd face paying 25% at the border.